Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we have an insane leak. It looks like for some reasons Wizards of the Coast have handed out the commander sets for the upcoming Modern Horizons 3 already, and there has been some really crazy leaks. All of the face commanders, as well as some of the Eldrazi, some of the stuff from the other two decks as well. None of the Jeskai ones. I know what happened. This guy got 8 of the decks, 3 of the upcoming Simic ones, 2 of the Jund ones, and then 3 of the Devoid ones. None of the the Jeskai ones. However, the Jeskai commander is up here. Now, obviously, if we have a look at this, and if I zoom in, I'm going to be sitting here trying to read it forever. So I've prepared a very handy slideshow here. So we're going to go through this. Before we get into it, though, make sure you guys do subscribe. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Hopefully, can we get there by the end of April? Some of these videos on the upcoming leaks and stuff like that have gone insanely well. Even if, 1% of the people that watch these videos subscribe, we could easily hit 2,000. So I am really hopeful that we can get up there. So the first one here we have is, I can't read the name, but the Restless. So she is the face commander for the Jund one. And she is, whenever a Lulgoth is put into the graveyard from anywhere but the battlefield, put it into the, onto the battlefield. So essentially, this is going to be built around, milling yourself and stuff like that. And if you mill one of these Lulgoths, then you're going to be able to essentially, bring it back. Very interesting kind of mechanic. And it looks like, this is going to be partially Lulgoth tribal in combination with land creatures or something like that, I think it is. Or, no, it's just like graveyard play, but this is weird. I guess this is kind of like, it reminds me kind of like the Desert Bloom, where you want to put your deserts into the graveyard and stuff like that. Unfortunately, this one is, anywhere except for from the battlefield. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get to create a Tarmogoth token. So we'll talk about both of those two. So the Tarmogoth is the one that is equal to the number of cards, number of card types among cards in all graveyards, and its toughness is equal to that +1. So whether the token is exactly like that, I'm not sure. And then as for the Lulgoths, these are the 8 current ones in this color. So, all stuff to do with graveyards and everything like that, which kind of makes sense, when it's based around kind of graveyard stuff. Assumedly, we're going to get some more. As well as, these ones here potentially kind of getting reprints there. All right, next up, we've got Ololok, the Fused Atrocity. So this looks like a combination of Ulma, Gog, and the other one, Koralik, I think his name is. It's like they fused 2 Eldrazi together. Very interesting. His mana is, he's got to be all 5 colors, but then I believe he's devoid as well, or colorless. I don't know if he's colorless as well, or if this is like a 2. We'll see. So he's devoid, and then whenever you cast an Eldrazi spell, you may pay 2 colorless. If you do, copy all spells you control, and then copy all other triggered and activated abilities you control. You can only... you may choose new targets for the copies, and then copied permanents obviously become tokens. It says mana abilities can't be copied either. So this is very interesting. You're going to be able to flood out a whole bunch of Eldrazi, as well as, copying all those activated and triggered abilities as well. So that is a very interesting ability. All right, we've got Oma, Queen of Vesuva. So she is 2 and then hybrid green-blue. Whenever Oma, the Queen of Vesuva, enters the battlefield or attacks, you may put an everything counter on a target land and 1 target creature. We'll get to what that means in a second. Each land with an everything counter on it is every basic type in addition to its other types. Very interesting. Sorry, it's every land type. It doesn't even say every basic type. So I wonder if that means like desert. That doesn't say land type, not basic land type. So I wonder if that means like desert or gates. Oh, that would be interesting. Gates. You could do some really interesting stuff with gates with this. And then every creature with one is going to be every creature type. Very interesting. You could do some really, really interesting stuff with that. And it's a 1/5. So next up, so this is not next up. This is very similar to Rangeling, which was from the Infinity set. Whereas every land type, including all of the basic ones, and then Desert, Gate, Lair, Locust, and all the Urza ones. So I don't know if that means it's going to be the exact same, because it says, yeah, every land with an everything counter on it is every land type in addition to other types. There's some really interesting stuff you could do with that. There's like one mechanic that cares about your different land types and stuff like that. I wonder if that's going to be in there. And then finally, this is the one here for the Jeskai deck. Now, this one's a little bit harder to read, so hopefully I got it right. Whenever this attacks, create a tapped and attacking copy that's a copy of up to one other target attacking creature you control. You get 2 energy. Right? 2 energy tokens. At the beginning of your end step, of the next end step, sacrifice that token unless you pay an amount of energy equal to its mana value. So you could do some really interesting stuff with this, where you copy some low stuff, or, you know, even just copying a 2 mana thing, you're going to be able to, or copying a 1 mana thing, you're going to be able to come out on positive. But, you know, if you've saved up a whole bunch of energy, you know, there's lots of different stuff to kind of flood yourself with energy and stuff like that. You could do some really interesting stuff where you could copy some really big stuff with this, and then from there be able to spend the energy. You only need to spend the energy once, I believe, at the beginning of the next end step, I believe is what it says. So you only need to spend the energy once. So if you spend it once, then you can get through to the next one. This kind of reminds me of the Master. I'd love to be able to run the Master with this, but unfortunately, you know, the Master's got black with him. The Master multiplied I'm talking about. But that's really cool. All right, and some others here. So we've got, I don't know what his name is, the Undertaker. So he gets X plus 0 power, where X is the greatest power among creatures in your graveyard. And then whenever he attacks, each player mills a card. During each of your turns, you may play a creature card from among cards put into the graveyard from anywhere this turn. It might say anywhere but hand, but it says anyway. And he says just a 0/5. So that's the secondary commander for the Jund deck. A human, so it looks like it's going to be kind of a mix between humans and the Logoloths. We've got Harbinger of the Seas here. This makes all your non-basics into lands. This one here also has just the MH3 tag, right? That's not the commander tag. Because I think the commander ones is MHC. But this is MH3, which means it's from just Modern Horizons. We've got Jotai Moag Ancient. So whenever he enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green forest dryad land creature for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone. At the beginning of each combat, land creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is Jotai's power, and he's a 2/4, so he's the secondary commander for the Simic deck. We've got Spawn Bed Protector. I'll get to the secondary commander for the Eldrazi one soon. At the beginning of your end step, return up to 1 Eldrazi creature from your graveyard to your hand, and then create a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion token. I didn't write all the sacrifice this creature to add colorless, but you can do that. So that's one of the big things that is going to be in the Eldrazi deck. We've got the Inversion Behemoth, which I had to do some Photoshop funky stuff, which to be able to read this. At the beginning of combat on your turn, switch the power and toughness of any number of target creatures until end of turn. So you can switch all your stuff, you know, I think that was actually, I don't remember if this one was a 6/8, but you could, like, you know, have some tankier stuff and then switch it into being attacking, and then, you know, back on your turn, back on other people's turn, it's going to be tanky again. Whenever. So this one here is the secondary commander for the Eldrazi deck. It is butchered. It's really hard to read. I believe it's got something to do with experience counters, and then you pay, you know, 1 of each color to do something with experience counters. I think it was Indestructible and Annihilator potentially, but as I said, this one's really hard to read. It also looks like it's a lower cost. It's only a 2/2, and then this doesn't, like, it just looks like it's just colorless mana up here. So this is potentially, you know, the secondary commander that you could potentially get out earlier if you wanted to run him. This one here is something about whenever you attack, and then each other colorless creature gets either indestructible or annihilator, I believe it is. Ulamog's Dreadshire, so this is really easy to read. Vigilance, ward, sacrifice a permanent with mana value 1 or greater. I love that this is sacrifice. It's got 10, and then you just tap this to create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. So it just extends itself out. We've got Eldritch Immunity, so this one here is a Kindred instant. Target creature, yeah, see, this is M3C down here. M3C. Target creature you control gains protection from each other color until end of turn, but you can overload it for 4 and a colorless. This one here is a new colorless Confluence that was really hard to read, so I couldn't get that one. So that's all really, really interesting. I'd love to hear from you guys, which of the face commanders you're interested in. The Jund one's looking way more interesting now if it's actually going to have more cards that the Lolgoths are. Ululek looks really interesting too. Omar, I don't know. All of these look really cool. I'm very excited about this. I know someone's going to complain about, Commander in your Modern Horizons and stuff like that, which is a whole nother issue, so I'm not going to focus on that too much. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that as well. And again, subscribe. Let's hit 2,000. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and goodbye.